is starting to iris down the picture in response to this flare of fire. So it goes down in 2 frames. It holds it for 14, and then the automatic gain control circuitry starts to recover and puts the picture back where it was. So the dip to black is not an error on a human part or a glitch in the control booth. It is the automatic gain control of the video camera going, oh, look out. Okay, we're back.
Now, an important issue, I suppose we should pick this up right at the midpoint of this show. Ace, do you acknowledge Steve Wright's expertise in the area of video analysis? I mean, is this a man who knows what he's talking about?
Well, yeah, sure he does, but I think that there's a great difference between believing the official story of 9/11 and supporting it. And I think there's a great number of people who support the official story. When you look at the totality of the official story of 9/11, I mean, none of it makes any sense. None, not from A to Z and all points in between.
Well, actually, there is no official story. I mean, there is a confluence of conclusions reached by thousands of researchers.
Well, on the dip to black,
yeah,
I say the reason it occurred is the automatic gain control of the camera did it. And by the way, that's one of the things that ruins this as a shot they would like to show you.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason for the dip to black? Why would they do that? Why would a conspirator put in this dip to black?
Well, I think they wanted to can the shot because they realized that the nose out happened. Oh. And I think, I mean, you're well zoomed in on that shot. The actual explosion that happens is pretty small in the picture. I have trouble believing that it's bright enough to shut down a news camera, but it seems testable.
But you have no trouble believing that when the airplane touches the tower, the picture gets slightly darker. That you can see.
Yeah, that's visible.
And that is the camera responding to what it sees in the scene. And that proves it sees the airplane in the scene as well as the towers and the smoke and everything else.
I don't know. I mean, it could be responding to you know, to a change in the smoke. It could be responding to a change, a slight change. You know, that the camera's pointing a slightly different direction relative to the towers.
Okay, so you would mark that event off as a coincidence.
Well, it's not a coincidence. I mean, the iris moves. I mean, you know, all the time. There's plenty of shots where you know, where there's more and less plane. Why doesn't it do it when the plane enters the shot?
Ace, just to clear this up.
Why doesn't it do it when the plane enters the shot?
Do you regard Stephen Wright as your?
Why doesn't it do it when the plane enters the shot?
He has a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more. The plane enters the shot. It has lowered the amount of blue sky, so the iris should have opened slightly, brightening up the picture slightly. So I'd have to take a look. That's a very good question. I'd have to take a look at that.
Let's listen to some eyewitnesses.
That's a good question. I'd have to analyze that.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
All right, so we have someone who saw a plane and someone who claims he didn't.
It takes about, looks like 6, 7 floors were taken out. And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running. Hold on
just a moment. We've got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll tell you what's going on.
So that was CNN's live shot, and they did a camera switch right when that nose out was going to happen, and they kind of had a fade to black too that cannot be explained by any kind of an iris adjustment either.
A disastrous terrorist attack on the World Trade Center.
About 10 minutes later, the second building went off.
Did you see it?
Yes, I saw it. It just blew up. A big explosion. People started running. It was just chaos everywhere.
It just blew up.
For Evan Fairbanks, this is the image that will haunt him and us for the rest of our lives.
The image of that plane just coming out of nowhere, coming into the frame and disappearing into the south side of the tower, as if a floor had been hollowed out and it was a hangar that it was just landing in. We've seen these images in movies and we know that it's all artificial and Hollywood makes it.
You say you saw the first plane fall down. What can you tell me about that plane?
Well, I didn't recognize it as a plane at first. It looked to me like a charred piece of metal, and I I had thought that there was an explosion from within the Trade Center, so I thought what I was seeing was a piece of the Trade Center falling because the sheath of the Trade Center is metal. But since I've learned that the first explosion was caused by a plane crashing into the tower, I've assumed that what I saw was a piece of fuselage that was falling, and the plume of flame I saw shoot out would be consistent with jet fuel exploding.
So you really have no idea of how large a
Ace,
plane the first
we're
one
doing
was.
a show on video analysis here. We really have to limit this. I mean, I can play recordings of people I know who watched the plane hit. I already explained why I chose not to go that route. Yes, many people saw the plane hit. Everyone watching the show in New York knows someone who saw the plane hit, if they didn't see it themselves.
Them willing to, what are their names? I'd like to talk to
Let's pretend that they're all liars, that they all work for the NWO. In the meantime, we still have a problem. The people who were on Flight 175 are dead. Their remains, many of them were discovered at the World Trade Center. The plane that hit the World Trade Center was tracked by the air traffic controllers. This is another show. You're here to talk about video analysis. I have an expert on video analysis to discuss these issues with you. I mean, as I mentioned to you earlier, we can find someone down at Ground Zero who will, talk about the reptilian overlords and the, those evil Jews, but they're not going to be on my show. In the meantime, let's talk about video analysis.
Okay, well, we can analyze the ghost plane video then.
That's fine.
I think let's have a little look at it. This is the CNN so-called ghost plane video. I hope I can get this to play. Those stops aren't in the video. My playback is just a little...
Did they hire all those extras to make that noise?
Well, presumably.
Well, that's funny you mentioned the audio because I can't present this today, but actually when it was aired live, the videographer, Michael Hezerkani, says, oh my God, a plane crashed in the building. And then when it was on CNN America Remembers, that line is still in there, but it's actually in a different place. So we know they were editing audio. Why? I don't know.
Well, again, this is rather idle. I mean, I have a friend who saw the plane hit. She was on the sidewalk. She is a woman who lives on the west side of Manhattan. She loathes George Bush. If she were here right now, she would explain why she thinks Bush had nothing to do with it. She'd say, he is too stupid to have anything to do with the attacks of 9/11. Now, if you are going to try to convince her that she's an agent working with George Bush, if she's complicit in the deaths of 3,000 people, I mean, this is an event that put her in therapy for a year. You're not going to persuade her that she works for George Bush. You're not going to persuade her that she didn't see a plane. Let's stick to the video.
So on this video that we're sticking to, we see that, and I'm going to just step through it a field at a time here. It appears to enter the tower with no bending, no twisting, no braking, no slowing, no anything, hence the name ghost plane. And then when I stop it at this point here, you can see that the wings have appeared to enter the side of this steel and concrete tower.
But it's not. It's steel and air.
Well, it's impacting supposedly floors edge on, which are corrugated steel pans filled with steel reinforced concrete edge on. And yet you see no damage there where that starboard wing has passed through the wall. And later on, from the same video, we see this, which is we can clearly see a big, gaping, dark hole in the side of the tower. And of course, I put later in there because there's an edit in the video. We have no idea what happened during this time. Some time was edited out. But clearly, if there was damage and a big hole in the wall there where that right wing is, at this point in time that I've frozen on here, we'd be able to see it, and we don't. And yet, this is exactly the kind of thing where if you were just dissolving a fake plane, that's what it would do. It wouldn't slow down. You would just erase it frame by frame. And I think that's exactly how it would look. I think this is much more consistent with a video composite than it is with any kind of a real plane crash. A real plane crash, it would They would break and explode up against the side of that building. The tail would break off.
And why don't the compositors know that?
Well,